Good morning, sports card world. Thought I'd try something different. Hope you guys are doing well. Thanks for joining, man. Thanks for being here. Wow. I will say this morning is going to be probably about a 15 to 20-minute thing. I got to get out the door about 8:30 for work-related stuff. But, hey, I got good stuff to talk about this morning. First of all, thank you very much for stopping by. If you haven't already, please take a moment, subscribe, share, like, tell people about the show. We want to keep this going every morning, live, weekdays. And we are going to make the Sunday night open mic night show a regular thing too. So join us on Sunday nights, probably 8 or 9. I haven't decided. We're going to figure that out. And I'm going to make that open mic night, encourage people to join. I'll even say I'm not against letting people in the morning. I've just got such short schedule. Sometimes it's hard to balance in the morning with the limited time that I have. So again, look for Sports Card Live every freaking weekday and live on Sunday nights too. Did drop a video last night on kind of father's tips for sports cards. The goal there really was kind of show you that, kids are in different ages and there's all sorts of different perspectives and opportunities to engage with kids. I will also say, I was sad to say, I sold out last night. Last night's video had commercials in it. I turned on monetization on that video. I'm not going to spend time talking about it. I'll talk about this in a later video. Let me know how it is. If there's too many ads, let me know. I don't want to overwhelm people with ads. One thing I'll share with people later on, I didn't know this. When you monetize, you can get total control over all the ads. I mean, it's so funny. You can determine how many ads, if the person can click through them, where the ads reside, what type of ad, which I was kind of blown by. It's funny. As a viewer, I've always said there's certain channels that you can tell just load ads on their page. Like you can't watch 2 minutes of video without another ad popping up. And other channels don't use ads as much. So hopefully, I'm doing the ads really to help the algorithm get the show out there more. We want to kind of increase the subscription, want to get more viewers. I really don't care about, well, you know what I don't care about. I don't care about the money part of this stuff. I'm into it for the hobby. I'm in it for the people. Okay, so here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go over the news this morning. And luckily on Tuesday mornings, I cheat and I watch the Personal Finance Dad, who's been coming on around 7. If you haven't followed him, I'm shocked because everybody watches the Personal Finance Dad. But he gave some interesting news. I'm going to comment on that this morning. I'm also going to comment on Sports Card Anonymous. It's had some really great videos, 2 great videos last few days that I want to talk about real quickly. Also going to share with you a video I found the other day. It's a few weeks old. Actually, it's about 6 weeks old on Panini presenting their blockchain and NFTs, which I was like, well, where the hell did you present this? No one is watching it. Well, relatively no one. And I'll explain that. I am going to be dropping a video tonight, probably, on redemptions. I'm kind of looking back at last year and what I was doing last year. So last year I did a video on ComC. I also did a video on redemptions. And I'll do a quick update on it. And I will point out last year, I think it was on May 18th, I was submitting a redemptions to Panini to ask for them to trade them in for me. A year later, Panini has done absolutely nothing. I thought that just blew my mind. Because we sometimes complain that, hey, I haven't heard back from them. Well, I actually have video proof that like last year I asked them to do something and they still haven't done it. Like, I really believe Panini doesn't like me. Like, I really think there's like a bulletin board that has Ziggy and it says like, darts in it and it, screws it. I don't know. I just feel like Panini does not like me. I mean, why? Why Panini? I know I say too many things, but I'm just telling you what I'm a passionate lover, Panini. Okay, let's talk about the news today. Personal Finance Dad. Good morning, Shane. Thanks for joining, man. Personal Finance Dad talked about a couple of things. So he mentioned there's a video of a guy finding a bunch of vintage in Florida. Some doctor died. A bunch of vintage was found. The takeaways for me was there's an auction guy said that one of the most expensive Gaudi Babe Ruths might come out of this. So again, it's like a drug dealer telling you he found really, really good drugs, right? Because he's a card guy. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here because, as I keep saying, we find more vintage every freaking day. It seems like if you follow Sports Collectors Digest, there's a Sports Collectors Daily. What is that show? Anyway, there's like a story almost every week about somebody finding a hoard of vintage. Vintage is everywhere. So is that good or bad? I don't know. To me, I'm not a vintage person, but I just want to point it out. Something vintage has a long print run because they keep finding more. Also talked a little bit about the market. There was an article, and I saw this from Andy sent me this article on the billion-dollar market of the sports car collectibles being impacted by PSA. It's interesting. Very, very interesting. I really think every group, calm down. I really think every problem in the hobby can I personally can tie it back to the lack of competition. I really mean that. I think every challenge we're having in the hobby today goes back to the fact there's no competition in the licensing, right? I've said that. I said in the video the other day, one word, and it's really competition. Let me kind of explain. Why is the hobby going through this this downfall, this correction? Panini. Okay, Panini. It's totally your fault. Number one, your box prices are too high. Your hobby boxes are 3-4x what they were last year. Prism was $375 for Zion, and I had a heart attack. This year, it's $1,500 when you came out, $2,000 when you came out. That's evil. Okay, Panini, you are the problem. Number two, they've put so much junk in products that people are grading it. Don't tell me it's because PSA closed down and they're having an impact. The reason PSA even got to where they were, I mean, let me say this again. In 2017, grading was a small portion of the hobby. It did not happen very often. It happened mainly for autographs or vintage cards. It was not every freaking card. It definitely was not base cards. No one graded base cards before 2020, unless it was a special base card. I'm sure there's exceptions, but in general, modern base cards were not graded. Why'd that happen? Because again, Panini raping you in price, sticking shiny cards in, tricking you that, hey, you don't need an auto, you don't need a relic, just take a shiny card, and if you grade it, you can make money. All of this goes back to Panini. If you had competition, this would have been curtailed, right? Topps would have been producing something. The Upper Deck would have been producing something. Well, here's what had happened. If you had competition during the COVID era, there would have been bad products, there have been good products. Now, they might have all sold, but there'd be specifically, hey, this is a collector's product. You see, Topps came out, Topps Chrome. They have only blah, 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 blah. Panini's watered down, blah, blah. You'd have competition in the market. We don't have competition. We have a fixed market and a very, very interesting market conditions going on with COVID and funding and everything else. But as long as it's controlled, you're going to have these problems. All the retail problems, no competition. If you had competition, again, here's number one thing competition would do. If three vendors had to deal with the Target and Walmart situation, they would find creative ways to get you the product. Maybe they do drops where they drive by in a car dressed like a sports card and be dropping them off like the Oscar Mayer wieners, right? My point is, if you have competition, you'll have creativity, you have innovation, you solve these problems. So think about that. Anytime you get frustrated with the hobby, I want you to ask yourself, would competition have helped this situation? I believe competition is the number one thing that would resolve all the problems we have in the hobby. It would also resolve the potential of overprinting, right? Overprinting is happening, has nothing to do with, years ago, there was 4 manufacturers had licenses, and this year they've got control because each one's got their own license. That's not a check. What happened back then was totally different. Like I said, there's no liquidity back then. You couldn't sell cards. People just kept printing them, thinking you would sell them in the future, right? Anyway, I digress. And clearly got a little heated. Shane, thank you very much. Agree. I mean, think about it. Everything in this hobby would be better if we just added competition. On that note, let me talk about grading. So another conversation that came up, and this was through, let me just make sure I got the notes here. I think there's Sports Card Anonymous. Sports Card Anonymous, yes, last night he had Pure Graded X reveal on his show last night, which I was really excited. I'm a fan of the Pure Graded X guys, right? Costa Rica Cards is in the chat right here. He's with Pure Graded Cards, Pure Graded X. Carson is another person. I'm a fan of what these guys are doing. I love the innovation. I love the collectability. If you haven't seen Sports Card Anonymous's video, I do recommend you go check it out. It was last night. One of the things I loved about it, it was the best video to show me the actual art and the card. I know that Carson and the guys would try to. His video last night, I could see things that I couldn't see. I was very impressed. I went out and placed my own order. Now I was already going to place an order, but I got 3 cards I'm sending today to Pure Graded X. I'm doing their Select and Prism 3 for $100 thing. So I'm super excited about that. I'll share it. I'm going to send more into those guys too. What I like about it too, I'm not even talking about Wizards and whose Wizards better. I love the artwork. I love the customization. These things are sexy. So I'm super excited about that. But I mentioned that because grading is an area where, again, I love competition. Competition makes this thing better. Okay, in my opinion, if I look at grading, there was no competition really a year ago. There was PSA or BGS, and apparently BGS fell asleep. And then really his PSA was dominating. And then, Peter, it was a year ago, May 1st, by the way, May 1st, 1 year ago, that SGC really even came to the market in modern. And Peter goes out and says, send me your weak, send me your poor, right? And boom, they slam him. And their whole market changed. So in 1 year, it's hard to remember this, but in 1 year, SGC went from about doing 90% vintage to to doing 90% modern. Okay. And that's been good. They brought competition. Now, I've been a little hard on them for their management, but hey, you know what? They're still competing. I like that. Not going to knock it. I want them to add technology. I think they missed a big window of opportunity when they haven't not talked about AI technology. And clearly, after watching their video, it's not like they have a bunch of wizards, right? Because when Peter was there, he was one of 8. So it's not like they had 8 wizards and Peter. So I'm really excited about seeing competition in the market space. I love it. I think it makes things better, right? Because it gives consumers a choice. That's what it really comes back to. And let me also point this out. Grading, as I've said before, grading is basically a third party giving you an opinion on a card so that you can confidently conduct business, make a transaction. If I want to sell a card to somebody and a grading company comes and says, hey, it's a 9, it's a damn good card, it's just not perfect. Hey, that's good for me. The person I'm selling to knows that. Person buying it can do that. Now, if the person buying it wants to crack it out and send it to another wizard to see if they get a better wizard score, that's up to them, okay? But grading is doing that. It's providing me protection of the card and a third-party opinion. That's what's important. Technology, I believe, is going to change the day. And I'm excited about what I'm seeing out there, like I said. What else did I want to talk about? The other story last night, and I do want to talk about another thing on the grading. Sports Card Anonymous did mention one thing. Here's one thing, Pure Graded X. I don't know if I can pull this up. Let's see if we can do this. Let's share screen. That's not it. There it is. You have this option here. So I think this is pretty cool. Here's Dustin, personal finance dad. He's going to have some products coming, on the site here. Starstock, apparently this is affiliated with Sports Card Anonymous. I'll let him talk to you about it. But what they're doing here is they're letting you buy directly Starstock A's or Starstock B's. Like you buy, hey, I buy grades for 12 of them. And then I'm going to have them directly mail from Starstock to Pure Graded X the cards. And then I send them my certificates. I match that. Hey, here are my 12 certificates for the cards to come in. Please grade them. I think this is genius. I love this. I'm not sure about this part though, guys. And now let me just explain to you why. I understand. I think it's Dakota. His comment was he thinks there's a lot of good value in Starstock B's and grading them. And he even says he's not doing this to sell this, right? He's saying, hey, let's grade a Starstock B that you can put in your PC. My only problem is I want Pure Graded X to have, I don't know. I don't mean it the wrong way. I want them to keep your good value. If you start grading a bunch of Bs, understand that a B is supposed to be a PSA 8 or 7. It's supposed to be a poorly graded card. So if you put out a whole bunch of, if you go to the pop count and Pure Graded X has a whole bunch of 8s and 7s on it, is that good for the market? I don't know. I know they're making an easy way for me to grade a low card, with $12.50, dude, in 21 days. That's freaking awesome. But is that what we want to do? Do we want to put more poorly graded cards into the market space? Just my concern, my thought, thinking. I don't know. You guys tell me what you think. I'm not trying to be negative, but that would concern me. I love the Starstock A thing, but Starstock B's and C's, personally, the one thing I don't like about Starstock is the fact that they create these groups. That means those cards have to go somewhere to get sold, right? I would have, and they're going to show up on eBay, right? Or they're going to show up in slabs with 8s and 7s on them. I don't know if that's a good thing or not. So just my thoughts. Okay, what was the other thing I was going to show you while I'm over here? Oh, let me show you this real quickly. This is a great video. So another thing I got in a conversation about last night was I believe in the correction. The correction is here, okay? Now, I'm going to explain in a later video what a correction is. A correction doesn't mean all cards are crashing. A correction doesn't mean you can't make money in this market. A correction doesn't mean the world's over. A correction means we're going back to the fundamental rules of the hobby, right? One of the fundamental rules is you buy rookie cards only, okay? And I'll get to that later on in the video, but here's a great video. This is done in April of 2019, so that's basically 2 years ago, when Gary V made a comment about Giannis Antetokounmpo.
That's good. Put it right away. If you got little money, 3,000 to 8,000. If you got some money, 30,000 is 80,000. Well, that's what got interesting about this.
Oh, you know what? Damn it! I got a commercial here. Is that what I got? A commercial? Anyway, how do I get through this commercial? I just gotta play it.
Do you really want to watch a video that looks like this? There's a good reason why.
Actually, I'd watch those two ladies. They look kind of cute.
Say shit. Like there's always 800. That's good.
Wait.
Catastrophic injuries and graded. They're $300.
Okay.
Do it now. Go to eBay and buy Giannis rookie cards, number 290, 2013 Panini Prism. PSA 10 graded. They're $300, $250 to $300 right now. God forbid they win the finals this year and stun the Warriors, they'll be $600. But even if not, unless he has catastrophic injuries, this is the best player in the NBA in 4 years, and this is an $800 card in 4 years. So think about it. You put in 300, 800.
Now, I will agree on one thing. That is an $800 card in the next 2 years. And what I mean by that, and I know this is going to sound crazy, Giannis is going to be a perfect example of a correction card, okay? If you look back, that video was in April of 2019, and it was selling for $200 and something, right? Here's October, like later in the year, and you can see the card's already gone up, right? October 2019, it's at 500. So Gary Vee talks about it, and it doubles in price within 6 months. But it stayed relatively around that price. Okay, it was under $1,000, bouncing a couple $100, you know. There's some sales, $700, $800, $800. It wasn't until COVID in March when this card crossed the 2,500. And what happened then? Okay, number one, people started coming in. They started talking about who's the next Jordan, who's the next LeBron, and everybody endorsed Giannis, right? Because Giannis was going to win a championship. If not in 2019, he was going to win it in 2020. He should have won a ring in one of the last 2 years. He did not. And that was what was paying for here. We were paying for him to buy a ring here. He did not win a ring. He got 2 MVPs. Those aren't rings, okay? Then he went down a little bit, but that card also became something the hobby talked about. Is this overvalued? Is this overvalued? No, man. It's a Prism in 2013. The pop counts were low. The print runs were short. It's so hard to find. Guys, it's still a base card. It's still a base card of a player. That's all it is, right? That's what I was thinking my whole time. But no, it continues up and ups, ups. Look at this. Can you imagine being one of these people who paid this much money for this thing? $7,000. And what are the pop counts on this? Pop counts are 2,500. Is that great? I mean, I know it's a lot less than Zion and all stuff, and a lot less than Luka, but is it a $7,000 card? So since then, it's been coming down, 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 down. Now, I want to point out, we're right now around 2,500. I'm going to call this correction card will be $1,000 sometime within 2021, right? And the reason for that, as I said, when we bought back here, we were buying with the expectation of winning at least 1 or 2 rings. Here we are now. He's not going to make the finals this year. That will close the book on him getting it in the 3rd year. And since he's decided to stay in Milwaukee, I'm sorry, guys, no super teams are going to happen there. So his card's going to continue to go down. It should be back around here around $1,800. It should be pre-COVID, pre-all this stuff. That is, in my opinion, what a correction is. Is it a valuable card? Yes, it is. It's a great card. Wonderful card. Is Giannis a great player? Absolutely. Wonderful card. He's not the best player in the NBA, though, in 4 years, in my opinion. There's too much other competition out there now, right? There's too many young guns. Zion looks damn good. So does the Joker. I mean, there's so many other challenging players that are going to challenge him. And it's a young NBA, man. We're watching changing the guard happen here. Okay, sorry, I'm not looking at my chats. What else did I want to focus on? Real quickly here. Another video, and I will drop a link for you on this. This dropped on March of this year, so about 6 weeks ago, on a site called Hyperledger. I had no idea who these are. 13,000 subscribers. I don't subscribe them. I never even heard of them. This is a crypto group. It's an hour-long conversation about Panini blockchain, and I learned some stuff about their blockchain. It's called Sawtooth. I did some research on what Sawtooth is. I'm not super excited by what I saw in this video because they didn't talk at all about packs. And I still don't think they even understand packs, right, at this point, which concerns me because this is in March, and here at the end of May, they're supposed to be dropping packs. But, you know, I'll put it this way. There's so much potential in the NFT space, right? But I'm concerned about the execution. I really don't think people have done a strong enough job in just the education of what an NFT is, the value of it, what it can do, the potential. But we will see. Let me see. Let me see my Texas Card Dude is here. I will say I watched Personal Finance Dad before, and then I'm gonna go watch Texas Card Dude afterwards. That's why I do my show at 8. Try to do between Personal Finance Dad and before Texas Card Dude, so you can check it out. Wait to see how much Giannis drafts when he does make I agree, Trigger Finger. I mean, I'm not hating on Giannis. He's a phenomenal player. He's like Patrick Ewing. He's like, John Stockton. He's a great Hall of Famer. He's just not worth that money. That price was baked into people. In 2019, they did think the Bucks were at least going to play against the Warriors. They didn't even make it in the finals, right? So then the bubble comes back and like, well, this year Giannis is going to do it, man. He didn't even make it to the finals again. You see what I'm saying? So 2 disappointing years where he couldn't even make the Eastern. He didn't win the East. And now I think they're out in the first round. If the Heat put them out, I mean, really put water on the card. But let's say they go second round. I just don't see his card having much value. That to me is going to be a perfect example of a correction card, right? Because it's what we're correcting is we're correcting the hype and the ignorance, and I mean that in the nicest way. The ignorance of the new collector that was here last year thought, oh, it's a Prism card, so I'm going to go ahead and buy it. If he did not make the finals, and how is he the Hall of Fame? He's going to be in the Hall of Fame because of his 2 MVPs, his scoring, right? That's why he'll get the MVP, right? And again, I'm not even a huge fan of that. He might not, maybe he won't, but many people argue that Giannis will get the Hall of Fame because of the back-to-backs and because of his scoring and all his stats. Now, I'll also point out, I've said this before, he got 2 MVPs during the LeBron era, right? Where every year, in my opinion, LeBron should be MVP at least a couple times. He hasn't gotten any back-to-back. LeBron gets kind of, overlooked. So I feel like was Giannis deserving both years? No. One of these years, probably, but not both. I don't. I feel like they're kind of like looking around, and I personally think they wanted to keep him there, so they gave him the MVP. They knew he'd stay in that market, and it helped the NBA balance out. They didn't want the super team. But that's just my conspiracy. Okay, let me wrap things up here. My takeaways from the day. Personal Finance Dad's news. Check it out on Vintage. Talks a little bit about the auctions and why is the market changing. And he kind of alludes to its PSA. I don't think it's PSA. PSA has an impact because PSA doesn't give you the ability to make money on the super expensive boxes that Panini's charging us. But Panini and lack of competition is the number one problem in the hobby. Everything can be rooted back to that. And I'm happy to debate that. We can debate that on Sunday night. I talked about the correction of the rules, and I'm going to put a video out on that later this week. Giannis Prism, talked about the Gary V. Definitely check out Sports Card Anonymous. Love his video he talks about another thing he talks about quickly is the Top Shot lawsuit. There's a lawsuit. I believe it's a frivolous lawsuit, but it is coming at Top Shot. I mentioned that because I do think Top Shot is just, they don't know what the heck they're doing. It's funny, as bad as I thought the blockchain video that Panini put on, and they talked about how they understand collectability, I realized that neither one of them understand collectability, right? But they're trying. Top Shot, though, really concerns me. Way too many moments. They just dropped another 300 and something packs last week. They're going to drop another 300,000 packs this week. Man, not collectible. Fun, but not collectible. Or let me say, not profitable. It is fun to collect. I do enjoy collecting the little moments. For $1, hey, they're cool, man. $2 moments. Starstock B, my concern there about the grading. That's just my feedback. I'd love to get your thoughts and stuff like that. I think we've hit on everything else. Again, we'll be dropping a video this evening. It will have commercials in it. I'm sorry. My commercials will be in the afternoon videos. We'll be back live tomorrow. We'll be live on Sunday. Super excited. Let me read some comments here. Ziggy, last Dallas show, Kobe, LeBron, Jordan were hot. Any thoughts on if there will be any hot items? I don't know. I'm curious. I haven't been to a show, and I'm curious to hear that. I really think it's going to be interesting to see what's hot because there's a lot of people going down there, card content providers, a lot this time going to Dallas, and they're all going to be talking about their deals and what they're going to get. So we will see. I think a lot of trading. I'm curious here. Is there more trading? Is there more cash deals? Is there more buying, selling going on? It'll be interesting. And then I'll even say this. I'm curious on how these shows are going to impact the hobby because we're going to have Dallas and then we're going to have the National. And I think there's even a Dallas show before the National or right after the National because every 2 months, right? There's May, so they're going to skip June. They'll do one in July. Are we going to get to show fatigue faster than I thought? I thought this would be the year of the show. I really thought this year's shows would be great and still be hot. I still think that'll probably happen. But I do think, again, people are learning. There's a lot of people who want to grab tables now, who want to set up as tables, who maybe should not be setting up tables, right? In my opinion. So maybe we're going to have 700 tables. By the end of the year, we're down to 500 tables. But I still think, that's the heartbeat of the hobby. And I'm excited to get to some shows. I'm planning to go to Chantilly this weekend. Key Hall of Fame is being memorable. What are we? Anxiety stage of the market. I don't think it's anxiety stage. I really think it's education side of the market. I think, for example, I don't think a lot of things should have had value that we put value on, right? We hyped it up. And a lot of it came from two things, ignorant people or people who made a living off cards. Okay. So if you talk to collectors last year, right? People who just do this as a hobby, they would have warned you about a lot of stuff, but their voices weren't what you listened to. Most people were listening to the new guy in the hobby who's telling you about, hey, just open a box and made a couple $100, or they're listening to the card man who's telling you sports cards are on fire and the world's going to be awesome, right? Those are the two voices that we heard. I know, I launched my channel to be a kind of a counter voice, to be a voice of just reason and just ask the question, well, why? What? Also, I want to use tools. People talk about tools or talk about stuff. I'm going to use them. I think it's funny. Let me just say that there's so many tools out there and people aren't using them. You know what I'm saying? Like Card Hedger is another one. You guys should be checking that out. I use market movers, but it's not, it's not for everybody. But there's so many cool tools. Slab Stocks is coming out, but I think those are going to help a little bit as well. Anyway, Michael, thanks for joining. I got to jump off, guys, because I got to be out the door right now. It's already 8:30. I'm supposed to be on a call in a minute, so I got to run. Bye-bye. Thanks for stopping by. Please like, subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow. Going to be live Sunday night. Peace.